What's up, y'all? This is Brave, and I'm back with another review of Divorced Sistas. This is season 1, episode 7, and the episode is titled Brutal Honesty. Let's get right into it. So we jump right into the aftermath of everyone that's at the church right now hearing the gun go off when Vaughn was on the phone, okay? So now at this point, Bridget is hyperventilating. She's trying to call him back, but he's not answering, of course, and poor Bridget, because she is hyperventilating. She can't even think straight. And we have Rashida. She had to jump in and be the person to kind of calm her down, try to get her to answer some questions like, has he been suicidal before? Or has he ever talked about being depressed? And she's like, no, he's never done that. Now, in the midst of all that happening, Jefferson, he tries to get his phone to talk to a sheriff, I believe, that he knows, to, see if they can trace the phone call to see if Vaughn actually, took himself out. Now, baby, one thing about Myron, he is going to be at every beck and call that Pastor has, okay? Because he's like, oh my God, what happened? Who did what? And Rashida had to tell him, sir, not now. Just give my husband his phone with the sheriff on the line, and that's all you got to do, okay? Baby, one thing about Myron, he is just trying to be involved where he don't need to be, okay? Now, after all of that done happened, Rashida over here putting two and two together. She like, he ain't never been depressed before. He ain't never gave off that energy. Something ain't right. So she talking to her husband like, yeah, he ain't never had no signs of anything. And basically the pastor is like, yeah, I think this is just like a cry for help. I don't think that he actually shot himself, okay? And Bridget's like, how could you think that? Like, who would play some type of game like this? And honestly, who would ever think of this? Okay? Me personally, I think that it is crazy that people play these type of games with people in general, but also with their partners. Like, how is it that you like somebody and you love them, but you want to pretend like you killed yourself or that you will take yourself off this earth? Like, those type of games, I don't play with that. Absolutely not. So at one point, Jefferson is like, yeah, who hung up the phone? Because remember when we started this episode, she was trying to call him back. And she had to think about it. He hung up the phone. Baby, you can't shoot yourself and hang up a phone now. If that's the case, sir, you operate on a whole nother level, okay? So here comes Calvin out of nowhere. Also, y'all, what's going on with Calvin hair? Why did it look like it was in a slick back ponytail or something? I said, what is going on? But nonetheless, he tells them that he thinks that Vaughn is doing this because he wants him to drop the charges. Oh, so now Bridget is pissed off. She like, let me find out that this man's playing games with me. I said, all right, well, Bridget, I really want to see you in action, baby. Because you better go off on that man and also have nothing more to do with that man. Okay, girl? We don't want you circling the block at all. So we move on from that because Bridget has stormed out the building. Or at least stormed out of that room. And we get to Naomi and Bolo. Y'all, what is Bolo's name on this show? I have no idea. But when I say I thought that she was pegging that man... And I probably shouldn't have thought that, but with all those sound effects, him tapping out, I'm like, what is going on? Y'all, I can't. I cannot with her and this dominatrix thing that she got going on. So basically, he actually wrapped his hands around her throat because he like, listen, you're taking this too far. When I tap out, you supposed to stop. And she's like, no, that's what I pay you for. And I'm just like, Naomi, I'm going to need for you to get a grip and go get a therapist because this ain't it. Now, he has to tell her, you got to stop treating me like I'm your ex, baby. I'm not him, okay? And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. And here's my thing, Naomi. I get it. You're trying to take control back. But I just don't feel like this is a healthy way for you to do it. I just really don't. Especially when you're telling this man that he now needs to kill your ex-husband and his wife. Girl, are you mentally okay? I get it. Franklin is horrible to you. He has been dogging you out every way possible. But the fact that you want some random man that you're screwing to kill him, is even crazier. And also at the same time, let's not act like her ex-husband is not a very powerful man. Like, girl, this ain't no regular Joe Schmo off the road. Because later on, she finally tells him who her husband is. And I guess he's like some big deal guy who like has all these buildings in Atlanta. Nevertheless, he like, that's too high profile for me, okay? All of this that you're asking of me is too much. That's way too much heat for me. And I'm just like, Naomi, if this man has told you this multiple times, stop asking him to take your husband out or ex-husband out. Please stop doing that. Because at this point, if I was him, I would go to the police on Naomi and be like, yo, she keeps trying to get me to take her husband out. If anything happens to him, she did it. But he ain't gonna do that. Also, I will say, body is tea, okay? Her body looks great. But also, ma'am, you want to be called Mistress Day? Get out of here. And the fact that you are adamant that this man gets this done ASAP is crazy to me. She is literally offering him $1 million to take out Franklin and the wife. Like, you don't think that you did enough by burning that lady back at this point? I don't think he about to be messing with you for a little bit of time, okay? What is going on with her mentally, y'all? Like, I get it that her ex-husband dogged her out and all of that. But the fact that you have now $500,000 on his head is crazy. And then you have poor Hakeem here. He ain't never got his hands this dirty. He trying to involve his friends to be like, oh yeah, maybe me and my boys can do this. And she's like, nah, it just gotta be me and you on this. So then she tells him that she'll even show him the money because she got it at a safety deposit box at the bank. He like, okay, well, when you gonna actually give me the money? And he basically wants something up front if he's actually going to do this for her. And she's like, I can give you $10,000. Ma'am, $10,000, that ain't nothing. Like, I can't lie. I with Hakeem on this. You gonna have to cough up a little bit more, sweetheart. At least $50K, something. And she's like, you know what? You can just get out. Just get out. Because this situation is not going how she had it planned in her mind. But honestly, y'all, I just need Naomi to get it together. Like, she needs some hobbies. She need to go sit on a therapist's couch and, like, girl, go to the aquarium. Go to a beach or something. Because you need to go look at some water. I need for her to go get her mind right. Because the fact that her mind has drifted all the way to hiring some random man that she's sleeping with to take out her ex is crazy. But let's go ahead and move on. All right, we're going to slide back over to the church and we see Tiffany walk in to talk to Rashida, but to her surprise, Geneva is there. And basically they have a little small chit chat. And of course, the room is awkward, baby. There's a bunch of tension in this room. And here's the thing. Geneva don't want to do nothing with Tiffany at this point. Okay? However, Tiffany can already catch that she's getting the cold shoulder from Geneva. Like, they were planning to go see Naomi, right? And Tiff's like, yeah, we could all go together. But Geneva was like, yeah, I can ride by myself because I have some errands that I have to do before I go over there. Here comes Tiffany. Well, what are the errands? Now, girl, back up a little bit, okay? I get it. You know that there's tension and she may not want to be in the car with you. But also, her having to do her own thing is okay. But no, it's not, because at this point, they have to have a conversation. Tiffany is asking if Geneva is avoiding her. She's like, no, I've just been busy. And she's like, well, I texted you 5 times. Now, here's my question, y'all. What was those texts about? Because why else would she be texting Geneva? It's giving you were texting her about Javon, and she don't want to talk about that man. All right, so at one point, you know, Tiffany's like, okay, so is this about Javon? What is it that I need to know about him? And Geneva tells her, girl, if it's something that you need to know about him, you gonna find out when you find out. Hell, she already told you, if you got questions, go ask that man. Don't ask me. And then Tiffany's like, oh, well, is this about the pretty lady? And I'm just like, oh, this is the perfect way for Geneva to pivot, okay? She can pivot and say, yeah, this is about the pretty lady. This ain't got nothing to do with Javon. So Geneva basically tells her how she went to the lady's job. She saw her at the little yoga studio or whatever. She recorded her and all the things. And also there's going to be a PTA meeting that she plans on attending to get to know a little bit more about this lady, right? Now, y'all, can I be honest? I don't like Tiffany's acting. Like, I have not seen this woman in anything else. Maybe she's better in other stuff. But the pauses that she does in between lines piss me off. Now, on the other hand, Kadeen, she's doing great, okay? Kadeen is doing a great job. The conversation is flowing naturally. Like, when she's speaking, is like she's having a conversation. Tiffany, on the other hand, baby, you gotta work on it. Hell, Naomi gotta work on her acting too. But back to the story at hand. Tiffany is trying to tell Geneva that Will would not cheat on her, okay? But Geneva, she's still not sure. Like, she did hear the yoga lady make a phone call. She just don't know who the phone call was out to, right? Now, after we wrap this little conversation up about Geneva's marriage, why did Tiffany circle back to, and Geneva, you gotta stop avoiding me. And Geneva's like, girl, if I was avoiding you, I would not even be talking to you right now. Like, what are we talking about? Thank God for Rashida. Now she comes into the room, but she now has to update Tiffany on what happened today. And of course, she gives her the rundown on the whole Bridget and Vaughn situation. Now, the ladies go into a whole conversation about Bridget and her dating. Because, number one, all the ladies know that Vaughn was, number one, too young for Bridget. Number two, baby, we learned a little bit more about Bridget. She always has dated young. And Tiffany's questioning, why can't she date a man that is her age? I said, ooh, we got something to unpack there. But baby, then we go around the room and basically everybody that dated a man that was younger than them. Well, except for Tiffany. She like him old. Well, it sounds like in her past, she liked him old because now she's all about Javon. Of course, she brought this man up. And Geneva's like, why are you even talking about him? You literally just met him. And she's like, well, you know, what if he wears a CPAP machine or something like that? And Geneva was like, girl, you act like you about to sleep with this man. And Tiffany's like, I might. Bitch, I might be. Tiffany, what's crazy to me is how you are so eager to put all your eggs in this man's basket. I mean, all of them. Every last one. And then Geneva, girl, your slip is showing, okay? You are holding on to the seams of your clothes right now by your hands because the threads are busting loose. You cannot handle your friend possibly about to sleep with this man because according to you, if she do that, her whole world is about to be changed. Like, I think it was so crazy that Geneva suggested that lady wait a year. I said a year. Geneva, cut it out. But what's even crazier to me is that they're having this conversation in a church. Like, y'all are literally having a conversation about people sleeping together who are not married in a church. Okay. Now, Bridget comes storming into the room, y'all. She pissed off. Because come to find out, Vaughn, did he shoot himself? Absolutely not. He shot out the car window. That's why it looked like he was in the middle of nowhere, like the middle of the wilderness. And now he at his cousin's house. And according to her, she dumped him. But Tiffany's like, yeah, but you need to make sure that you don't take him back. Girl, she just left the man, okay? What's crazy to me is that Bridget is like, I said that I left him. Y'all, she just had this man laid up in her bedroom, top of the morning. Like, y'all know, I be trying to rock with Tyler. But baby, this whole day by day, play by play, hour by hour that you love to do, Sometimes it makes these storylines sound extremely crazy because this girl is talking about how she left this man when just yesterday he was at you at the church event. Then today he was laid up in your bed at the top of the morning. Girl, when did you leave him? Because it's been less than 2 hours. What are we talking about? But now here goes Tiffany. Oh, well, we can go ahead and all ride together and go see Naomi. And Bridget's like, go see Naomi. After all that I just said. Now listen, I don't think that I don't think that Bridget should have been the person that had to go. She been through enough today. She can go lay down somewhere and make sure that Vaughn don't pop up at her house. This whole round up the girlies and we can all ride together to Naomi's, child, it ain't that deep. The fact that Geneva wants to ride alone, bitch, let her, okay? Let her ride by herself. Who cares? But no, here comes woe it's me, Tiffany. She's like, no, it's because of me. She doesn't want to ride with me. And Bridget like, no, I don't think that's true. And she's like, no, it's true. I'm like, Tiffany, shut up. Because here's my thought process. We all know, as the viewers, that she not really rocking with Tiffany like that. But she said, I have an errand to run. If she wanted to go grocery shopping at a grocery store by Naomi house, let that lady go do that. Okay? It is not that big of a deal. Now, y'all, we jump on over to Myron and Jefferson. And basically, Myron is still trying to check on the pastor. Oh, my God. How's your arm doing? Are you okay? And he like, I'm fine. Okay? My arm ain't even burnt like that. We good. But speaking of that whole situation, I need to go down to the hospital, right? And here goes Myron. Oh, I can drive you. Sir, back up off of him. Please, give the man some space. And Jefferson's like, no, I don't even need you to do that. But Myron, he brings up what happened at the top of the morning. And that was when he called Jefferson babe, trying to play it off like he was really talking to his wife. And he's like, Rashida doesn't think that, I meant anything by it. And Jefferson's like, yeah, she kind of did. And now this man gets the bright idea that he needs to go talk to Rashida about it. And Jefferson's like, no, you don't need to talk to my wife about this. Basically, let it go, okay? Myron, you another one. Go get some acting classes with the rest of the girls. Like, y'all, I am really trying to understand what is happening in the casting room when they are, going through the casting process to what we are seeing on this screen. Because it's some of y'all who have gotten cast on this show, baby, y'all need some work. But we gonna still watch. Now, y'all, when I tell you I am so sick of Myron at this point, because this man is over here being a creep. First of all, he's like, oh, yeah, I see that you and the first lady, like, y'all came in super happy. What happened last night? It's 2 grown people. What do you think happened last night? Like, what are you talking about? Then he goes on to try to get in their business because the pastor was like, yeah, we kind of hit a rough patch, but everything's good now. And he's like, rough patch? What happened? Sir, this is not your way to squeeze in with Jefferson. Back up off the man. But let's go ahead and move on. So we have Rashida, Tiffany, and Bridget. They're all riding in the car together, looking like a Cars commercial. You pick and choose maybe a Lexus, maybe, a Mercedes commercial. Y'all know how they have like the black ladies driving in the car. That's what it's giving. But nonetheless, here goes Tiffany. Woe is me, Tiffany. You know that Geneva, she's not really feeling me right now. And you know that there's an issue, Rashida. It's just like, girl, that's between you and Geneva. Rashida ain't got nothing to do with that. Please stop. So Rashida changes the subject and she ends up asking Bridget, did she check up on Vaughn? And she's like, nah, I didn't check up on him because, what he did was stupid. And Tiffany's like, yeah, that's because he's young. And it's like, girl, I'm with Bridget. It's some old men who do dumb stuff as well. Men are just stupid, period. So Rashida tries to change the subject again, and she's like, yeah, so about Naomi. And here goes Tiffany. You can't keep trying to change the subject. Blah, 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 right? She's going on and on. But then she says, oh, but if Geneva keeps trying to treat me like this, then I can't watch Anika. Because keep in mind, she's the one who volunteered to watch Anika when they go on their trip to Italy. So Rashida's like, okay, well, I'll watch her. Like, girl, it's giving that you would take it out on a child if you ain't messing with her mama. That's the energy that is given, girl. What did little Anika do to you? So then Bridget was like, I love my little niece. I can watch her. And here goes Tiffany. Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea because we all know you gonna have that man back at your house. I'm like, whoa, Tiffany. Like, that sounded a little bit harsh, but okay, girl. Now they've basically decided that Rashida will keep little Anika. Moving on, we do see Jefferson. He goes to see Franklin at the hospital. And of course, we see that lady in her burnt back. Y'all, I could have sworn that lady had blonde hair. Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe she was a brunette. Let's get to the conversation. So Franklin is peeping that Jefferson, you are only here because you trying to get this check. You trying to get this money and I ain't going for it. But Jefferson, on the other hand, he feels like, no, I'm here because I care about your wife and just want to see how she's doing, right? Baby, this took a turn because Franklin, he feels like Naomi should have never been there. But Jefferson's like, that she's my wife's friend. Oh, baby, why you even bring up Rashida? Because this man, Franklin, he says that he got something coming for her. And Jefferson was kind of thrown off. Like, you got something coming for who? Not my wife. I know you're not talking about Rashida. And baby, yes. According to him, Rashida is basically just a casualty of war. And I'm just like, whoa. You know what? Franklin and Naomi, they deserve each other. Because they both crazy as hell. Now, Jefferson finally pipes up. He stands up to this man. He like, listen, I may be holy. I may be a holy roller. But please don't get it twisted, okay? I will go toe-to-toe with your ass. And I'm like, finally, Jefferson, stand up to this man. Because the way you allowed him to act a fool at that little banquet, gala, benefit thing you had was crazy. And let's not forget how crazy he talked to your wife when y'all was in that waiting room, okay? So it's been about time, okay? Jefferson even hits him with the word of God, okay? Because one thing about God, he don't play about his children, okay? So Franklin can play if he want to, but he better not try to come after Jefferson and Rashida. Well, here's the thing about Franklin. He really don't care because he's ruthless and he does a slow clap. And he's like, okay, preach on, pastor. I'm like, clearly y'all ain't never been friends. Jefferson, get up out of this hospital. So Jefferson, he does end up leaving, but not before telling that man, don't you come for my wife or me, because it's going to be a problem. He calls his wife when he gets in the car, right? Of course, Myron is there. And she's still in the car with the girls. And, of course, everybody can hear. And he's like, where are you about to go? I need to talk to you. And she's like, oh, we on the way to see Naomi. We about to go to Naomi's house. And he's like, no, don't go there. Have her come to you or something else. And she's like, what's going on? So he's like, just pick up the phone. So she grabs the phone. And he's telling her how he just had this encounter with Franklin. This man talking crazy. I don't want you going over there. She's like, okay, well, let me just tell the girls. And he's like, matter of fact, I'm going to meet y'all there. I said, oh, typical Tyler Perry. Everybody's going to meet up at Naomi's house. So she tells the girls or whatever what happened with her husband. And they're just kind of confused. Like, wait, so he's going to show up to Naomi's house? And she's like, yeah, he first offered for Naomi to come to our house. So it's very clear that Jefferson does not like Naomi at all. At all. But also, it is kind of weird that Naomi is friends with Rashida. Like, considering she's a first lady, I just don't understand how they friends. But really, I don't see how she's friends with Geneva either, because the way she moving is crazy. But back to the story at hand. We see that Geneva has already made it to Naomi's house, baby. She walked right on in. One thing about Tyler, people just gonna walk right into the house. Ain't nobody gonna knock. Nobody rings doorbells. They just walk right in. Who does she see? Hakeem. Bare booty naked, okay? She can see everything. And she's like, where are your clothes at? He like, yeah, I like to walk around naked. Sir, this is not your house. Now, he did not scurry off at all. Actually, I think at one point he told her that she was fine. But he took a seat on the couch and continued to eat his sandwich. And then Naomi comes out and she's like, I told you to leave. You need to go. So he ends up leaving the room. And Geneva is like, what do you even have on? Like, girl, go put some clothes on. Because you already know that the girls are coming over. And she's like, I'm not about to go put no clothes on. And here she go again with this dominatrix outfit. And Geneva had to yell at her and talk to her like a parent. It was like, girl, go put some damn clothes on. So Naomi actually listened to Geneva and she left the room. Next thing you know, here comes Hakeem. And he finally leaves. But here's the thing. We walked out the door. He's like, yeah, you bitches are crazy. I said, now, whoa, buddy. Why you calling them out their names? Well, I get why you calling Naomi out the name, because she be treating you crazy. But this lady, you don't even know her. You don't know Geneva. Now, speaking of Geneva, she goes into Naomi's room. She like, girl, you taking too long. She see all this dominatrix stuff that's laid out on the bed. Naomi is out here playing with a whip. It's like, what is happening? What is going on? And Geneva's like, girl, when did you even get all of this stuff? The real question is, when did she get into this stuff? Like, what's happening? Baby, let's unpack it. Now, we get this little speech from Geneva, and she's like, you've kind of been a basket case lately, but, you're hurting, and I get that, but I'm not going to be able to help you if you keep, acting out like this. Now, here's my only thing. What is she acting out like? Because technically, I get that y'all are friends, but you don't know everything she may like or dislike in the bedroom. So, if she want to do the whole dominatrix thing, hey, let that be her thing. But I just don't like the way Geneva approached it. Especially when she was like, yeah, I need you to stop smoking and put some clothes on and come downstairs. And I'm just like, what was she smoking? Like, nothing was lit. Are you talking about the cigarettes? What's happening? I feel like maybe there was something else that was supposed to happen in these last couple of scenes that were scrapped. Or am I tripping? Nonetheless, we see everybody pull up to the house at the same time, and they have a whole damn game plan, okay? Jefferson basically feels like they need to go ahead and make this little visit quick because we can't trust Franklin. So Geneva comes outside, and Tiffany's like, okay, well, you need to talk to Franklin's lawyer. And he's like, no, we ain't gotta take it that far. Let's just wait a day to see what Franklin is gonna do. I'm just like, why do we have to wait and see what Franklin is going to do? Because it's clear that he's going to try to do something. So the guys went outside. The ladies go in. And they're just looking around like, dang, the place is really messed up. Because keep in mind, this is Rashida's first time seeing her house being towed up like this. Now they're waiting for Naomi to come out. And when she does, y'all, why was she wearing that? Why was she wearing that two-piece suit? I'm not understanding. Girl, you ain't got no sweatsuit? You ain't got no cute little activewear leggings or nothing? What's going on? Now, here we go. Because Naomi is feeling some type of way about Rashida. She's like, you finally showed up. However, she already knows that Rashida went to the hospital. And Rashida's like, yeah, I did. You want to be mad about it? Let's not forget that you did throw hot coffee on somebody, and now that whole video has gone viral. Also, the prosecutors, they've already seen it because they've called the church, I guess, asking for a statement. And it's just like, Naomi, I get that you're pissed off, but at the same time, you are just lacking all accountability, and it's crazy. Now, Rashida definitely called it out. She's like, this was some self-inflicted pain because, had this girl not thrown that pot of coffee, maybe things would have been different. However, Franklin was taunting that lady all night. Now, Naomi did kind of open up a can of worms because she let us know that at some point in her marriage, she ended up getting an STI from her husband, okay? Then, on top of that, she tells Rashida how she told her to come down to her church and how they can help them as a couple. But Rashida is like, yeah, we can try to help you. Now listen, Naomi. Yes, you can absolutely go to a church and seek some counseling, right? But your man had a whole nother life, okay? He was living a double life. It wasn't much that Jeff and Rashida could have done with that. That man had made a personal choice and he was sticking with it. Now, at this point, we do see Naomi start to throw her digs because she's like, yeah, you told us to pray. You also told Tiffany to pray. And look how she turned out. I said, well, whoa. Tiffany caught a stray there. And Rashida's like, yeah, we did tell y'all to pray as well as work on it. Y'all did not work on y'all marriage together. So Rashida calls out Naomi and she's like, listen, you ain't about to be the first lady to ever get hurt. So you sitting up here letting this man drag you on down. Sound like that's a you problem, baby. This is a you choice. Because you're allowing him to dog you out. So Rashida's like, because he moved on with his life. And she's like, no, he didn't move on. He was taunting me. And baby, Rashida was like, he baited you, baby. He baited you. You took the bait. And now you're going to have to see a judge at some point on some assault charges. And now Naomi's like, I don't care about going to jail. I don't care about those charges. Listen, one thing I will say is that Rashida kind of ate you up in this because she's calling you out and holding you accountable. And you can't take it. Now Bridget pipes up and she's like, you have all of this. You have your house. And before she can say anything else, here goes Naomi. Yeah, you would be impressed by a big house because you ain't got one. Damn, girl. I thought this was your home, girl. This is the second time that you done dogged her out. And what's crazy to me is that Bridget's like, I have to stop myself. Like, I'm going to go off, so I got to contain myself. So then Tiffany keeps grabbing her and saying, no, say what you got to say. Say what you got to say. Girl, if you ain't going to say nothing, then just go ahead and leave, okay? Bridget, if you don't plan on standing up for yourself, walk out the door. So y'all, then Rashida pipes up again and she's like, you know what? This is a nice house. But basically, you ain't gonna see that until you have nothing. And between the way you and Franklin are playing games, the devil is all up in the mix. Baby, she ain't lying. She ain't lying yet. Now, she does tell her, like, listen, girl, you are sinking. You are drowning at this point. And you're getting to a place where you're being mean, you're nasty, and we're not going to be able to fool with you, okay? So you need to get it together. And now, here we go. Naomi, she want to say something. So she's like, yeah, so why is the pastor outside of my house? And Rashida was like, well, he's making sure that I'm okay. And this right here put the battery in Naomi's back to go in on all her friends. Starting off with Tiffany. She basically is like, yeah, you met a man last night and now you think you gonna marry him. So Tiffany is like, okay, that's all you got? I said, now Tiffany, hold on now. But Naomi tells her, like, oh no, just make sure that you're careful with this one so that way you don't have to owe him alimony. I'm just like, wait, are you trying to say the first guy that she was smitten with, that's who she married and then divorced him? Or should I say he divorced her because she cheated? What's going on there? So Bridget pipes up and she's like, Naomi's just being so childish. Why she say that word? Because of course she came at her for dating Vaughn. She's like, where you pick him up at? A daycare? And here's my thing. How old are they supposed to be? Like in their mid-40s? Early 40s? Because I think Vaughn said he was, 30 years old? So I'm like, okay, maybe he like 10 years younger than her? 12? 14? How old they supposed to be? But y'all, let's get on back to the mess because Naomi then decides to swing it on over to Geneva. Keep in mind, Geneva ain't even really said much this whole time. And she's like, yeah, remember when you told us that William only working with like a good 5 inches, so I know he ain't even hitting it good. And on top of that, you can't leave that man because you need the dual income. I said, dang, ain't she an attorney? Like, I thought they make money, no? Baby, when I tell you, I know that Geneva is thanking God in her head that she never told her about Javon. I know she thanking God because look at how spiteful Naomi is. Baby, she will bring up your dirt quickly if her feelings is hurt. Because she wants you to feel the same pain as she is. My God. But now we gotta swing it around to Rashida. So basically, she's trying to call out the fact that, Pastor be on the phone cupcaking it up with Myron. And Geneva's like, girl, okay, well, this is enough. But Rashida's like, nah, let her cook. Because at this point, she's already had a conversation with her husband. And technically, she knows that ain't nothing going on with him and Myron, right? And this is where things went left. Because she's like, okay, let me show you something. Y'all, Naomi's like, you know what? I'm going to pull it up on the TV. Y'all, why does she have video footage of Myron on the phone right now talking about how he knows that the pastor wants him and how he can't take it anymore? He be trying to hold his wife's hand, trying to make him jealous and like all these things, right? And I mean, it is setting it up as if the pastor is into him. But if you really listen to what he's saying, it does sound like he's into the pastor, but the pastor ain't giving him no time of day, okay? Now, Rashida is watching this, y'all. And, like, this is the coldest thing I think I've ever seen somebody do. This is supposed to be your friend. Also, how did you know what that man was talking about? Like, how did you know to just turn the cameras on? Yeah, this is crazy. This is so crazy and diabolical. There is no way any of these ladies should ever be friends with Naomi again. Like, she just took things way too far. But y'all, that was the episode. Let me know what y'all thought about it. What do y'all think about Naomi and how she just did her homegirl Rashida? Let me know in the comments. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And I will talk to y'all in my next review. Bye, guys.